Sega. You guys know about them, right? Creators behind Sonic, Yakuza, Valkyria Chronicles, anyone? In all seriousness, Sega has not only become very consistent in releasing quality titles as of late, they quickly become one of my new favorite publishers. Case in point, today's production, funnily enough. Thanks to our friends over at Sega, we got the opportunity to review one of their latest titles in a long dormant franchise of theirs, Shinobi. Now, I never really played or knew much about Sega's older titles. You know me, I'm all about their more anime-esque projects. So admittedly, I didn't know what to expect with this one, but let me tell you, it quickly exceeded my expectations. So let's have a little detour from our usual schedule and check out what has to be one of my favorite first impressions for an old school franchise. This is our review to Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Before we start, I just want to say if you're enjoying our productions or you want to see more stuff like this from us, be sure to press that subscribe button. While you're at it, be sure to check out our Patreon to further help the channel. With that said, let's begin. Let's start with a little history lesson. Shinobi was first released as an arcade game way back in 1987. This franchise was a huge success, getting several sequels across all of Sega's consoles like the Master System, Genesis, and even made some appearances on the PS2. The series since then has been pretty dormant, however, with its most recent release being Shinobi on the 3DS. Things have been looking up though. Sega's been making a pretty big effort in working with developers to bring a lot of their old IPs back, many of which are doing surprisingly well. Art of Vengeance in particular being a perfect example of it. The game's been developed by Lizard Cube, who's actually the same team behind Streets of Rage 4, a gorgeous continuation to another of Sega's franchises. So if there was anyone capable of handling this project, it's definitely these guys. Which brings us to today with Shinobi Art of Vengeance, announced and later released on August 29th, 2025 for every major platform. As you can tell, this is clearly designed as both a reboot and revival to the series. So while I never really played a Shinobi game, this is the perfect opportunity. I'll be reviewing what this game is based on, how well it plays, and how well it introduced me to the franchise. With that said, let's start with the story, shall we? The story is pretty simple. You play as Joe Musashi, a ninja and head of the Oboro clan. It was just another peaceful day for him, but very quickly all that begins to change. His clan's village is suddenly attacked by an army under the rule of the E&E Corporation, all led by our big bad, Lord Roos. This leads to Joe Musashi to get his revenge for the destruction that's been done, all while we meet several new characters who help us in this journey. For what it is, the story is pretty solid. It's nothing too complex. Roos is a pretty good antagonist. He's a typical villain who cares about having power and rule over the lands, but he serves a pretty decent job for what he is. Also, his final boss fight is really cool. We get some cool interactions with Joe Musashi and a few of the other characters like Chiyo, who is actually the leader behind the resistance against E&E Corp before she was brainwashed by Roos, along with Tomoe, one of Joe's students. The game overall does a pretty good job at introducing you to the world and these characters, and it does have some pretty good world building too. But that's not all. While the story may not be anything too deep, the gameplay is by far the best selling point of this package. The best way to describe it is it plays a bit like a Metroidvania. Basically, imagine these giant worlds you can traverse through in a 2D space. You're able to gather new abilities along the way and later use said skills in previous areas, or in this case, levels. Yeah, so even if I say it plays like a Metroidvania, fans and even the developers themselves claim that it actually isn't. Rather, it plays more like a Mega Man X inspired platformer. I personally never played any of those, so I can't say for sure. Whatever the case is, this is an incredibly polished platformer. The movement is so fluid and fast. Moving around is as smooth as butter with all the kinds of platforming challenges you can do. You can climb, dash, do huge jumps, and that's not to mention the cool abilities you get as you progress the game. The game also features its own combat system which, oh my gosh, it's so much fun! You're able to do all kinds of combos as if it were a hack and slash, get all sorts of unique skills called Ninpo, alongside passive abilities that can really mix up your approach to battles. There's of course the Ninpo skills which use some energy you gain from fighting enemies, but there's also your ultimate move that lets you kill all the enemies on screen. You can definitely tell this was made by the same people behind Streets of Rage 4. Ooh, that's not even mentioning the bosses. They're super well designed and are really fun to fight. The best part about all this is being able to replay all of these levels with all the abilities that you gathered. This adds a huge amount of replayability, not only because it's super fun to move around and look like a badass with all these new skills, but also because they'll help you find the rest of the collectibles scattered around. Also, can I just mention how incredible this game looks? The game is completely designed with this hand-drawn look, which makes the animations and scenery jaw-dropping. The locations are are full of life and color, and it makes a lot of the action set pieces super fun to traverse through. Lizard Cube has tackled this kind of approach in their previous projects in the past, and this is no different. The soundtrack is also pretty solid. Most of the levels have their own unique song to play along, and even the boss fights have their own theme. With that all said and done, should you get Shinobi Art of Vengeance? Absolutely! If you are big into Metroidvania-inspired games with a mix of level progression and huge open areas with tons of explorations, this is a must-try in my opinion. Sega's truly been making an outstanding effort into bringing back its old IPs, and this is no different from that. With that said, I really hope you all enjoyed today's production. This is just a very small-scale production and something fun we wanted to do. Thank you so much to Sega for the review code for this amazing title, and now if you excuse me with this new initiative, I feel like it's only best to demand them for Valkyria Chronicles 5. I started a new fan club, and we'll be camping outside their offices till they finally give in to the demand. This could have gone a lot better.